Welcome to the Actually You Can podcast. I'm Miff Galloway, a performance coach passionate about supporting ambitious and high-performing women just like you who know they have untapped potential just waiting to be unleashed. If you're looking to massively up-level your performance in all areas of life, you've come to the right place. My goal on this podcast is to take you beneath the surface so you can connect with yourself on a deeper level while providing you with valuable insights and the tools necessary to navigate life's challenges and go after your goals with strength, clarity, and wisdom. If you're ready to uncover the truth which lies underneath so you can recognize your powerful feminine leadership style, pursue your goals unapologetically, and thrive in every aspect of your life, hit the follow button and get ready to explore the incredible possibilities that lie within you. Together, we'll uncover your next steps in achieving peak performance, because actually, you can. Welcome to another episode of Actually You Can. Today's guest is Eddy Smits. For 25 years, Eddy was a professional artist captivating diverse audiences with his unique approach to performance. But his most impactful role was as a hospital clown, visiting over 10,000 children who were sick or receiving palliative care. To bring joy to those in need, he had to go beyond entertainment, showcasing extraordinary leadership and mastering the art of authentic communication. This journey inspired him to write Model C, a book exploring how the mindset of a clown can transform every aspect of life. Today, I'm excited to have Eddy share his unique perspective on embracing life's challenges, helping us to become better leaders for ourselves and others. So welcome to the show, Eddy. It's such a pleasure to have you on today.
I'm very excited to be here, especially because I saw on the podcast that you mainly focused on women. So I'm really honored to be here.
Well, I'm super excited for everyone to be able to listen more about your journey. And to kick things off, I mean, becoming a clown is not a profession that a lot of people hear of. So I'd love to learn more. How did you end up becoming a clown? What sparked that journey?
Yeah. It's quite a story actually, because I come from just working class people. Not that there's anything wrong with it, on the contrary. But so when I first told people that I wanted to clown, that was like a bomb dropping in the whole village. Actually, especially when I said, "No, I wanna make my living out of it." And the reason was I always loved to work with children. I was educated as a teacher, by the way. And then I started a puppet theater, which was really nice, creative, could be creative, etc. Um, but I couldn't really get my money with it. In those days, and I'm talking late 80s, puppet theater was on a decline, and there was not much demand for. Until suddenly I saw on Belgian TV there was a clown who had a TV show, which was very popular with kids. And I the way I saw it was that that figure was attractive to kids. That was my goal, to make to have something attractive to kids. And so I went into it. I went deep into it. Um, and I found out that it wasn't that easy that it looked. It all looks easy, mm, but the contrary is true. And then I worked my way up. I In those days, so without the internet, I read books. I sought people that were clowning, followed some courses, and from there on, I kept evolving and learning myself things, learning things. And at some point, I got really the opportunity. Somebody asked me, "Hey, are you interested in performing for sick children?" Never heard about it. I knew that in the States, the Patch Adams movement, right, was there, but here in Belgium, it was unheard of, and I jumped in without knowing anything about it, and that again was a challenge of its own, because like clowning is you have the red nose is magical, right? So if you put a red nose on, automatically children will come to you. That there's a kind of code in their heads that says, "Oh, red nose, that has to be funny," and they come running. But in hospitals, it's a totally different case, because they're sick, they're afraid, I did palliative kids too, so they could be in literally the last days of their lives,
Mm.
and it's a whole other ball game. And I learned that by falling hard, like I learned everything. And so that was my journey as a clown. Actually, later on, I did a lot of things on stage. I had a real world class acts with balloons and stuff. But as you said in your introduction, the most uh, um, not joyful, that's not the word. The most where I got most things back and where I learned so many things about life, about myself, about people, was that 10-year period that I was in working in hospitals, especially the last years when I worked with palliative children. And this knowledge that I got there, which is mostly based on an attitude, uh, I felt I had to do something with it. It's so valuable that I need to tell about people. And that was another challenge because when you're talking about these things to clowns, they immediately get it, right? But when you're talking about these things to business people or other even your friends, you can see like it's flatline, right? You see in their face, they don't get it. They really don't. I had to find a way to really explain things to people like a 5-year-olds. And I'm still doing that actually in the lectures I do in my work. Um, and the more I'm into my work, the more I'm convinced, the more I see that what I did there, I can transfer exactly to people's lives, to business, to relationships. Um, it's a matter of just yeah, it's like if you have an umbrella, it's good for the sun too. I always say, right? Yeah, but that's identically the same. But when you have an umbrella and you open it and the sun is shining, people are going like, "It's not raining," right? And that's the challenge. That's literally the challenge to explain people that an umbrella is just as good for the sun as for the rain. So that's my challenge. What I'm working on right now.
And I'd love to dig more into the lessons that you learned
Yeah,
clowning specifically with children. But before we get there, you mentioned that when you shared your desire to become a clown and to earn a living from it, it was like a bomb dropping in the ocean.
yeah,
And for a lot of people, if they experience that sort of reaction, they have this sort of doubt where it's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe this isn't a good idea. What inspired you to keep pushing through despite potentially the reception you were receiving? What
yeah.
motivated you?
You know, the more I think about these things, about why people are successful or not successful, I think there are two ways. I think one way is that you're an entrepreneur and you love to take things by the hands and move things and do business and all these things. This entrepreneurial thing, which I'm not that good at or whatever. And then the other thing is passion for something, and that can be anything. That can also be passion for business, right? It's all good. But whatever passion you have, I think if you dive into that, that's the key to overcoming all these challenges. Like people saying, "What are you doing?" Like the doubts you have, which are always there. I think people need to really be honest about it. You always have doubts. There's
Yeah.
no entrepreneur, there's nobody who says, "Oh, okay, let's do this," and "Whoa, I'm good at this, and I can do it all." And I think then you must be delusional, because you can't do it all, and there are always doubts. Every step of the way that I took were doubts. But in my case, it was the passion for it's not really helping. It's more like making people laugh, making people good
Mm.
and feel good. That kind of passion. Working with children also, but and I was wrong about my passion. When I went into coaching, I thought my passion was like helping people. Right. I thought that was it. That
Yeah.
was it. But the more I did coaching, the more I missed the stage, and the more I went to no, it's inspiring people. It's making people feel
Uh,
good. It's making people laugh. That's what the clown did actually. If it was for adults, for children, doesn't make. So you can be wrong about your passion too.
yeah.
It's a tricky thing, and that's also why at some point my coaching business flattened out. There was no involvement anymore in it And that was the case, there was not enough passion to break through the things that I needed to break through to go all the way. And that's also why I changed. And that's why I went back to stages with my TED Talk. That was the beginning. And where I felt so good, not knowing that, okay, this is really, you feel it. You just feel it. And I didn't have those goosebumps when I was coaching. I loved coaching, but it was not that passion that I felt when I'm on stage or when I'm in front of people. And looking back, I already had that as a kid. I love to be in front of the class doing things. I love to sing, not dance. No, but and so yeah, these are the two things. It's or being passionate or being entrepreneurial. Let's call it that way. I don't know another way that will push you through things. Yeah,
And I love how you mentioned that you can be wrong about your passion because
yeah,
some people, I don't know about you, but I remember growing up from people at school, like I always knew I wanted to be a lawyer, XYZ. And I've
yeah,
never been one of those people who knew what they wanted to do with their life. The way I found out what I wanted to do, and it constantly changes, is by doing a whole bunch of different things.
yeah,
Some I enjoy, some I don't. But every time I try something, I learn. And it sounds like you did similar. It's like, well, I'm going to give this coaching thing a crack. And you're like, I'm going
yeah,
to get it to a point, but it doesn't drive me as much as I guess
yeah,
inspiring people and motivating does. And I
yeah.
think that's a really key lesson to learn for a lot of people is don't let the fear of striking out stop you from playing the game, right? You're not gonna be
Yeah,
able to
yeah, yeah,
find
yeah.
your passion and what it really lights up that spark in you unless you give things a crack, and it's okay that
Absolutely.
things don't work out. What did you take I mean, you mentioned that your coaching business plateaued because you probably weren't as passionate about it as you were about inspiring people on stage and performing.
Yeah.
What did you tell yourself at that moment with your coaching business? I mean, are you still actively coaching? Are you trying to grow that business still?
At that moment, I needed to throw the towel.
Yeah.
Financially, I began coaching 2018, and then that went really well. And then COVID came,
Mm.
so I had to move online. And that was also, I was doing good because in that period, it was for me. I was I was in Nigeria. I lived in Nigeria for a
Yeah.
few years, so I that was really nice. I could do the job there from anywhere in the world actually. Uh, but then when the end of COVID, I felt that people were a little bit, Zoom tired, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
And I wanted to and then, I didn't have new clients come in, and that's the point where I felt normally I should have pushed through, and I should have done things to get the clients, and I didn't do that. So that's the point where I realized, okay, there's something not okay with this. And then a few months later, I really had to throw the towel because there was no money coming in. So that's the period I decided, okay, I'm going back to Belgium, see what I can do there, and that's what I did. So that was a loss, and I'm not happy. I'm not happy about it, but I know now that it's really important for people that follow their passion to also hear people say, okay, sometimes things don't work out, but you have to start over. Just start over
Yeah.
again, right? And that's what you need to do. I mean, you can fall as many times as you want, as long as you get up. It's okay. Um, so yeah, that's the story about the coach. I'm still doing it, but not. It's occasionally.
Yeah.
It's my main thing,
Yeah.
and I'm still helping people with it. And I still love to do it. That's not a thing. But I'm going full out for the stage work now because I love it
Yeah.
so much. So yeah,
And that's really cool to hear you say as well, because I think a lot of people, they'll try something and it becomes hard and difficult. And there's a difference between deciding in that moment to give up because you just don't think it's worth the effort, as opposed to giving up because
yeah,
everything's just hard and you don't want to do hard things. I mean,
yeah,
learning a completely new skill, and especially one, I guess, as rare as clowning, when you didn't have internet, when you had to talk to people, that would have
yeah,
been freaking hard. And so
yeah,
it's like you've shown that for where you have the passion, you can
yeah.
persevere and do the hard things. So it was really cool to hear you reflect, being like, I wasn't ready to do that with coaching. So that
Right.
was, yeah, your internal check.
But even in my clowning, I remember I followed it was 2 weeks, course for 2 weeks. A really famous French clown, French woman clown, French girl clown, how you call it. And after the first day, I still remember I came home and I wanted to give up because all that I had learned from clowning, she totally wiped it away, and I had the feeling, "Oh my god, I'm doing this clowning for so many years now, and I can't do anything." I mean, I was on stage and I couldn't do anything. So that was also a point that I gave up. But then, then passion strikes. And then at some point you say, "No, no, I'm not, because I wanna do this. I want this and I need this." And um, I mean, I was literally crying that evening, and my ex-wife also asked, "What's going on with you?" I said, "I'm not going back tomorrow. I'm so devastated here. I can't do anything." And but I still did go back the next day because I felt that I was so passionate about this clowning that I put away my feelings. I put away that I was hurt, and I said, "Okay, if this is the way to get to the next level, then I'll do it. Whatever happens here." And that was the start. Afterwards, okay,
Yeah.
you can only connect the dots looking back, right? Um, but afterwards, that was the start of me growing and of me getting in touch with other people that were at a much higher level than me, and also getting the respect of these people. I was trying to get in touch with them for a long time, and was like as if they didn't see me. And suddenly, I followed that course. I came out of the course. I start talking with them at about other things, probably because then I could talk with them, and then they came to me, and so I needed that thing to just break through. But I couldn't have done it if my passion wasn't big enough for clowning. I loved clowning so much that I just went back and say, okay, let's see what happens. I went to the slaughter bank.
It sounds like your heart wouldn't let you give up. Your mind was telling you to give up, but it was like, no, there's something just in there that's not letting me give up on something. And it's such a beautiful place to be. Like, I don't know
Yeah,
why. I can't logically explain why I need to keep going with this, but something's telling me this is the work that I'm here to do. That's so beautiful that you have that experience.
yeah.
And so, specifically, when you're doing clowning with children in the hospitals, there's probably millions of these memories, but what's a core memory that stands out for you when you're performing for the children?
The story I always tell, and I also told it in my TED talk, is that, and it it shows that children are like that. There's a lot to learn from them, right? That's also one of this pivotal moments where my clowning totally changed, and about my view to children was the time that I did the little girl that was about to die. Right, I'll tell it very short. The story. I came in. There was no mood in the room. That was dark. There were a lot of people there, and I didn't know exactly what to do. But I just sat beside her on the bed, and I had to do something, right? So at that point, I just asked her as a clown, "Do you know why everybody is so sad here?" I knew it, of course, as a human being, or as me, as Eddie. But the clown is always curious, right? So he asked
Yeah.
the child, and then she said, "Yeah, I don't know either." And this baffled me so much, but I went on with the conversation and said, "What do you mean?" And then she said, "Well, my parents say that when I die, that I will sleep forever." I went again in the conversation as a clown. "Yeah, that's actually true. You're gonna sleep forever." And then she said, "Well, then I don't know why everybody is so sad, because sleeping is the thing I love doing the most." And that moment was so, and at, you could hear a pin drop in the room, and the atmosphere changed in a blink of a second. After people heard it, there was a little silence, and then you literally heard, literally, yeah, and it totally changed everything for the family, for the child, and that was the point that I learned so much there. But the thing I learned most there is to persevere in things. If you know you're right, you gotta go, because the intro, and actually never tell that to people. The intro of that story is that the parents didn't allow me into the room in the beginning. Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
because they literally told me, "Our daughter is dying. The last thing we need now is a clown."
Yeah.
That was what they said to me, literally. So I had to talk my way in. Um, without really knowing if I could do something. You don't know. You don't know what's behind the door. You have literally no idea what's going to happen. So, and that was the point that I convinced the parents, look, what I'm going to do here is not only good for your daughter, but for you, your family, for everybody. So I threw myself completely there
Mm.
at that moment, and the result was great. It could have gone the other way too. It could have, but that was the chance I took there. I and Yeah, I was really you go into that room naked.
Yeah.
You can literally compare it with going to a hospital room without no clothes that everybody sees you naked. That's the way you go in. Um, and I think that's also the way you go into a lot of things, or you need to go into a lot of things. Totally naked, open, and accepting everything what happens at that point. So that was a pivotal morning moment in the hospital crowding, but for me, that was also for my life in general, that was a
Mm.
pivotal moment, yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that story. That moved me incredibly too. Like, what a beautiful perspective that child had, and it's so it's such a beautiful thing that you were able to share and enable that child to
Yeah.
voice that perspective. I'm sure that would be very comforting for a lot of people in the room too.
Yeah.
And
By
I
the way,
just
I still get a Christmas card from the
oh,
family every year,
bless.
every
Oh,
year, and
that's so beautiful.
that's, 2000, let's see, 2008, 2007?
Oh, that's so beautiful. I love
Yeah.
that. The first thing that comes to mind when you share that story is in a lot of serious situations. I mean, I know speaking personally, it's like, what the fuck can I even say in this situation? Like, and I mean, you admitted that you walk in there, you go, I don't know if this is going to work, but I got to try something. And you were confronted with death and the prospect of
Mhm,
death every day working with those children.
mhm.
How do you figure out what to say? Or how do you have the courage to say something?
That was also exactly the thing that I was thinking that period. "What the hell am I
Yeah.
going to" Exactly that. And then when that happened and when I did this work more, I realized you don't have to say anything.
Mm,
It's not about you to take the first step. It's about the other side. And that's also what I learned in connecting with people and doing things with people. Don't be the first to I don't know, do just observe.
mm,
Observe. And if people are interested in you and if they have a question or they want to talk with you, they will come.
mm.
And since that day, I'm not forcing anybody anything. Also, like in network events, I'm just going in a group, I'm going to stand there. I'm not saying anything and that happens all the time. Everything is talking and about their business and how good they are doing it. And I'm just standing there listening to everybody. Yeah, okay. And then at some point, somebody sees me and says, "Hey, who are you?" And that's my cue. Then I'm just telling that this is what I do, this is who I am, and we have a conversation, and then the conversation starts. I never take the first initiative, never.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, never. Of course,
Yeah.
sometimes I do, but I think we think too much in our head. Oh, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to do. But
Mm,
we all know. It's like it's also that's the same in coaching. We as a coach, you think, oh no, I can't. How can I help this person? I don't know anything about. I don't know. Let's say they are in the telecom business. I don't know anything about telecom business. How can I, in God's and heaven's name, help that person? You can, but it's not up to you to ask the question. The questions will come from there, and also the answers will come from there.
mm.
And once you realize that actually you have everything in you, especially when I'm not saying when you're 14 years old, right?
Yeah.
Then you have also things in you, but then you have to evolve more, and then
Yeah.
but you observe all these things and you learn things, and they're all stacked here. And in the moment that they have to come, you need the trust that they will come.
Yeah.
Um, but that's hard. That's hard. I realize that's really hard. But it will come at some point. And if it doesn't, I always say then you are not supposed to be there, and then it's not for you, and
Yeah.
then you have to pivot and do something else.
I see that a lot in my coaching business as well as people are coming to me to tell them the answers. And I was like, oh, no, 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 no. That's not how coaching works. I ask you the questions so you can come up with a lot of the
Yeah,
answers.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the same. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what other lessons have you learnt from being a clown that you bring into your book, Model C?
Yeah, there are a few. I think, and the even the older I get, sometimes it's funny. The more I know, the less I do with
Oh,
it.
yeah,
Sometimes it's
totally.
funny, right? But I call it the swimming pool technique. I call it like that. Now, what is that? It's really simple. When it's a hot day, we're in the pool, and you want to go in the pool, and then there are different ways to do it. Some go with their toe and they feel, oh, what's the water like? Oh, it's too cold. Let me go. So just sit in the sun, right? Other people go feel with their hands and they say, no, it's too cold. I'll do it later. I'll do it later, right?
Yeah.
So the only way to my way, or the way where it works, and when you can't go back to your seat and go sit in the sun and do whatever else, is just jump in. And that's what we did as a clown. We opened the door and not literally, because then children would be startled, right? But actually, we jumped in. That means we didn't know what was going to happen. If you jump in the pool, you don't know if it's cold. You don't know how what's going to happen.
Yeah.
The only thing that you know is that you can swim. You know that
Yeah.
somewhere, right? And because you learned it at some point.
Yeah.
And as a clown too, you learned everything that's going to happen. You can if you jump in the water and you feel that there's a lot of current, then okay, you know what to do, right? But you don't think, oh, there's going to be a lot of current. No, you just jump in. Once you jump in, okay, when it's really cold, oh, I gotta move now. I gotta move so I can get warmer, right? If it's too hot, if it's hot, then you relax, etc., etc. But it's really important that you jump. You need to
Yeah.
just jump. If you don't jump, you will go back. You won't go in because there's always an excuse not to go in. Oh, I'm going to make myself wet, and I'm going home in 20 minutes now. I'm got not enough time to dry. Oh, it's too cold. I'm going later. Oh, I feel like eating an ice cream first. Okay, let's go and eat an ice cream, etc., etc. All these excuses that coming up. So to prevent you from having excuses, and everybody has them.
Yeah.
Everybody has excuses. Everybody, me, everybody. But that's a way to overcome your excuses. Is just jump. You don't have the
Mm.
time to make excuses. You jump and
Yeah.
you're swimming. Idiots. Whatever happens then, you're in the water, and then you
I
do.
love that.
Yeah,
And then it goes back to your point where it's like you have a lot of the resources within you already, and especially whether it's a work situation or a particular situation you find yourself in, it's like just go in there and trust that
it's
ideally you've
again.
done the work. Like if you're a professional athlete, right? You've been
Yeah.
training for it, you're in the race day, it's like you've done all the work, just let it play out, have the confidence
Then
you've done
yeah,
everything.
go
Yeah.
ride your game. Go do your game.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same. Um, Also in the coaching business, when you're talking to people, is did you do it already? And when the answer is no, yeah, go and do it. Go and jump, but just jump. Yeah, but I can't do this. No, it's okay. Just do it, jump, and then once you jump, then we'll see what to do. You don't know. You don't know in advance what's going to happen. As in life, you don't know what's happening tomorrow or even the
Yeah.
next second. So why would you know it in business or in life or whatever?
100. And I,
So,
I think another key lesson that I'm keen to dig into is, I mean, clowning, you bring having a really great ability to bring humor into any situation.
yeah,
What role do you think humor and playfulness plays in personal development, especially when it comes to overcoming challenges? I
yeah,
hear a lot in the personal development space, like if you see the bright side of things, everyone's like, "Oh my god, it's toxic positivity. Like you can be sad, you can be miserable, things can be shit." But what's your view on that? And what's your view on the role of humor and playfulness in overcoming adversity or difficult situations?
yeah. Well, the first thing is the everybody needs to stay playing. We have to stay and play.
Yeah,
We need to play all the time, whatever that is. And I always say to business people, the golf you are doing, that's also playing. So
yeah,
don't be afraid that you're not playing anymore. You are playing on the golf court. That's playing. And then they
yeah,
are, oh yeah, I didn't really think because if you say to them, you need to play again, then they no, playing is for kids, right?
yeah.
That kind of attitude. But then when you say, but didn't I hear you tell me that you are golfing? Yeah, I'm golfing. So that's playing. That's
Yeah.
playing. Going to soccer with your friends, that's playing. It's all playing.
Yeah.
That's one thing. You need to be able to keep on going and play. Um, the second thing about humor, and that's something that's really delicate. I always say humor is like a scalpel. You know, the really
Yeah.
sharp knife that doctors use. Um, Humor is the same. You can, with a scalpel, you can save somebody's his life, but you can also kill somebody with it, with the
Yeah.
same stroke, with exactly the same stroke. And that's also the same with humor. So you have to be careful, you have to be playful, you have to be, and I'm not saying not to use it. On the contrary, use it. But that's like the ping pong game you play, you know? You hit a ball and then um how you get it back is the way you hit it back.
Yeah.
If you get a hard ball back, you will anticipate it totally different than when you get a soft ball back. And that's the same with humor. You put something out there and you immediately know, okay, this is working or this is not working. If
Yeah.
it's working, great. If it's not working, try again. If it's not working, try again. If it's not working, try again. And some people say, no, no, I don't use humor because it's a serious business, blah blah blah. And then I always say, do you know one person in the world who doesn't like to laugh? There is no person in the world who doesn't like to laugh. Everybody loves it because endorphins come out of your body or whatever the scientific thing is. I don't care.
I just feel
Everybody,
good.
everybody likes to laugh. Everybody. So what's this? But you have to be careful, and you have to know in which environment. When you are with your best friends, the jokes will be totally different than you are at work, right?
Yeah.
When you are just do the cliche, but it is when you are under men, the jokes will be totally different than when they are
Yeah.
women in the neighborhood. It is like that, but it's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. Um, so adjust yourself to what's happening and yeah, observe. And that's also what the clown does.
Yeah.
Observe. You throw something, you hit that ball, and you observe how is it coming back,
Mhm.
or maybe it's not coming back and you scored a point, but did you want to score a point? So you have to be careful with humor, but it works. And when you learn to work with it, there are two things: you can solve problems with it,
Mhm.
you can get the tension out
Yeah.
of a lot of things, but you also learn to know people within a few seconds. You tell something funny and you see their reaction, and you know how they are or how they think or whatever. If let's just call it a little bit, if it's a little bit racist, a little bit, just a little bit,
Yeah.
you immediately know, okay, 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 it's okay, yeah. But it's okay. It's always okay. You accept it how it is. That's how the person is. But with humor, you can you can know things within seconds.
Yeah.
And otherwise, you need conversations and you need whatever. So it's really powerful, but it's dangerous. It's like dynamite, right? It's the same. It's invented to blow up rocks to make tracks and stuff. But they used it for another thing too. At some point, oh, that's interesting to do war too. If you can blow things up, you know what I mean? It's the same. It's exactly the same. You need to use it with yeah, what you want to use it for, and that's to make people laugh or that's to get the tension away.
Yeah.
But it can be dangerous if you are too. But if you keep on going, you can always reset things with humor. You
Mm.
can always reset it, and yeah, try
And
to I don't know, yeah.
yeah, and I mean, this might be a slight tangent, but I'm curious.
Mhm.
Ha and without probably giving away all your trade secrets, how do you know, I guess I don't know how else to phrase it apart from how do you know what sort of humor to bring to a situation? Like, how do you ensure that it's tasteful? So, how do you
Yeah,
know what sort of angle of humor? Is it
yeah.
just because your years of experience of being curious about people? Is it a learned skill? Is it just some people have it, some people don't?
Mhm. Well, first of all, I don't have any secrets. I always tell everything I know. It's like with everything, um, you try. You
Yeah.
try, and at some point, you know, uh, there are some people that are not funny. There are some people in this world. right? But if you don't
Yeah.
try it, you don't know it. And if you try it and you see, oh, people are reacting on it, you can improve and you can. And again, it's really there are no rules in humor. There are none.
Okay.
Um, it's there are no in love too. There are no rules. They always say there are no rules in love and war, and it should be there are no rules in love, war, and humor. So
I love that.
there's no secret here. It's oh, so it begins with if you say I don't want to use humor. It's not my thing. Could be. That's okay. Then you know yourself. Probably you have tested it a few times and it wasn't that great. Could be. It could be. Um, but if you feel okay, I can do something with it. It's marvelous. You can do so many things with it. Um, yeah. By the way, there's it's a little bit a side leap, but I'm still gonna say it.
Yeah.
They did an inquiry um, with women from 18 to 24-year old, and they asked these women, "What is the trait, the thing that you love most about a man? What does a man need to have to be attractive?" Right? And I don't know the percentage, but the highest percentage was having humor. So it's not having a six pack or not having a six, 7 or 8 figure job. It's none of these things, right? It's the
Humor.
ability to make them laugh. That's the highest thing up there. So that says something, right? That says
Uh,
something.
I love that. Yeah, that that's a really good fact to remember. Just work on yourself, work on your personality.
Yeah. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. Then it is like that, right? Um, yeah, if you don't like to dance, you don't like to dance. It's I'm speaking out of for myself now. I mean, let me just sit on my chair, drink a glass
Yeah,
of wine, and enjoying watching people. That's okay.
yeah,
I don't need to be dancing myself. It's
yeah,
okay. I'm having fun, right? And that's the same with everything, especially with
yeah,
humor. If it's not your thing, it's not your thing. I mean, nothing wrong with it.
yeah. There's power in knowing your strengths and also your weaknesses, and you can
Absolutely.
choose to address your weaknesses, or you can be like, "That's a weakness," and I'm totally cool with that.
The glass is half full of half empty, right? It's the same
Yeah,
glass, but it sounds a little bit better when you say it's still half full, right?
yeah. And you've had such a tremendous amount of experience in both the light and the humorous side of life, and also bringing that into some of the darker areas of
Yeah.
life. And I'm interested to hear, how do you stay balanced when you're in such, I guess, what other people would call really challenging and heavy
Yeah.
situations, and you bring humor to it? How do you ground yourself with all of that?
You don't.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, my life is ups and downs, and I
yeah,
I have a very big problem with finding a middle ground, very
yeah,
big. Um, and the older I get, the more I realize that I'm never going to be
yeah,
right where in this balance. I have my highs, I have my lows, and during the lows you learn, during the highs you have fun. Um, it, it, I have trouble with balancing myself, and it's not, and it is. I think it's an artist thing. I know a lot of colleague artists who have the same. Um, it's hard for us to.
yeah,
We are always looking for these highs, always looking,
yeah.
and but I think you need to take the lows too to get to the highs.
Yes,
I, I, I think, as an athlete, I think it's identically. You have a lot of highs, but also a lot of lows, and but you need the lows to go to the highs. I think an athlete is the same. You can't be always in shape. Yeah,
yeah,
you have your top shape, and you have when you need to diet and need to exercise and blah blah blah, and then you work to your best form. And I think that was the same with that's the same with me. I need to fall down, and then I'm on the
yeah,
ground thinking, "How did I get here? Okay, doesn't matter. I need to go up again." And then the way to go up, and with me, it takes a long time sometimes, which is one of my best friends. He can do it almost overnight.
yeah,
Figure of speech. And when he takes on something new, it's like he's on top very soon, very quickly. So he's like, yeah, I don't know how he does it, but I need time.
Yeah.
But the advantage is that I stay on high also very long.
Yeah.
That's the advantage. Um, but yeah, it can be hard sometimes. I admit. I admit. Yeah.
Yeah, and it sounds like, and I'm just sort of thinking out loud here, but I always say to my clients that you need to experience sadness to know what joy feels like. And it sounds like it's similar to that, but I
It's
guess
exactly
that
that.
your experiences are so extreme. So you have such extreme amounts of joy and happiness, and you see such extreme amounts of sadness, but
Yeah.
it gives you such a broader spectrum on the
Yeah.
continuum to play against. So you can, for every really sad and horrible situation, you can do that proportionally, or you can bring that proportionally amount in joy as
Yeah. Yeah.
well. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's exactly like that.
Yeah.
Um, the only way that I see is that so few people talk about it. I see only
Yeah.
highs in social media.
Yeah.
You only see highs, while we know that there are so many lows too.
Mm.
And especially young people, you need to tell them they are lows too, but it's okay
Yeah.
that they are lows, right? And then at least when they fall in a low, they know, okay, but people say that it's okay. Nowadays, when you see social media and these young people, they are just beginning with their career and life. They see all these things on social media and say, oh, I want to have that, I want to have that. And then it doesn't work out the first time or the second time or the third time, and then they give up because nobody tells them that all these people that have these highs now had the lows too. It's not possible to have the highs immediately. There has to be some kind of low or some kind. And if there's one thing that I want to do also in my talks that I do, or when I'm on stage, is to let people feel that their lows also, right? You
Mm.
can, and you're gonna have a good time with me. But I want to be honest too that
Mhm.
it's not going to be easy. Um, but it's simple, but
Yeah.
not easy.
And I think there's times where you can be challenged, and then it's appropriate to be, "Okay, I'm going to reframe this challenge and bring some humor to it, and then I'm going to overcome this challenge." And I
Yeah.
think some people's I'm just talking, I guess, for myself, like, if I'm going through a challenging situation, I'll be like, "Okay, I'll give myself a day to mope around and be a bit sorry for myself," but then the next day, I'm getting over it and moving on with life, and I have a
Yeah.
variety of different tools and techniques I can leverage, and,
Yeah.
depending on what situation people find themselves in, they may need longer, they might need shorter to get over challenging situations, but I'm interested to hear from you. What role does humor play in helping to overcome challenging situations? Like, why would it be important for someone to include humor, I guess, in their toolbox for overcoming challenges?
Um. Well, there are a few things. Can you give me a specific challenge, or do you want something in general, or
Yeah. So, for example, I'll just top of my head, for example, if you walked into work and you just suddenly got fired, you're like, oh
yeah,
shit, like, what am I going to do? Like, I
yeah,
mean, obviously, you need to deal with the serious situation ahead of you, but I can
yeah.
also see there could be space for humor in there too to help make light of the situation.
That's a tough one.
Mm.
I think there we are talking about seeing the upside of a down situation. If you get fired, I always tell people, okay, if something bad happens to you, try to find three good things that are coming from it. So if you get fired, that would be I have more time with my kids, could be a good thing. That would be, oh, now I can find a job that's more suitable. Could be
Mm.
the second one. I don't know. Third one should be something else. So that is always also reframing it.
Mm.
Um, what for me when I feel down, or when I then a good movie helps when you can laugh. Laughing
Yeah.
brings so much.
Yeah.
Um, 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 I'm really not interested in all the scientifical things, but I read them all. Right? Don't be mistaken. But I can
Dopamine, I think it is.
Yeah, but I can't reproduce them, and I don't care actually. The
Yeah.
thing that I care is they are good for you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I love to have a laugh and try to get yourself out. Go to a friend that you know, okay, I can talk to him, but not the guy that is too serious, and
Yeah.
you're going to have a situation where you're going to talk about the meaning of life, you know?
Yeah.
No, find the guy who tells jokes and who laughs, and find that guy or watch a good movie.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I watch a movie, I'm laughing out loud here in the house that everybody says, what's going on?" And I'm watching a movie.
Yeah.
And so, but then you bring these things out in your body, that will get you to action, or that will get you in another mood, or whatever. So it's
Yeah.
humor really to reverse something. I don't know any of. Could be that there is, but you can use it just to cheer yourself up, and to, yeah, to lighten the room actually, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've reminded me of something too. Like I'm very similar to yourself. I've listened to a lot of YouTube videos, TED Talks, listened to
Yeah.
podcasts, read personal development books. Do you think I can remember any of the scientific facts or whatever? Like, I mean, it's like my Wi-Fi. I don't need to know how my Wi-Fi works. All I know is
Exactly.
it works. And so you just
Exactly.
prompted me of something that I learned from Joe Dispenza, and
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to paraphrase it, but he mentioned that the vibration of stress, you can't get better when you're in that stress state. And so it sounds like if you're down or whatever like that, you need to change what level you're vibrating at to be able to see more options and see
Yeah.
possibility. So it seems
Yeah.
like from what you're saying, it's like
Yeah.
humor is a really good tool for that. It's like if you're feeling really down,
Yeah. Yeah.
incorporating humor, like you mentioned, having a good laugh, watching a movie, it can be a really great tool to elevate what state you're in and then help you see more clearly and better problem solve.
If you can do something with a human being, is always better, and
Yeah.
that's the part where why I hammer all the time on everything I say. No, we don't have to do anything, but we need we get to go back in these human connections, right? Which is, you know, I see it with my own daughter. And she's already 30, or 32, 31. I don't know. Oop.
No
Uh,
matters after 30.
she's old. No, I always see it with her. They they text when you call her. When I call her, she doesn't pick, and she texts
Yep.
me afterwards.
Yep.
Um, but that says a lot, because we need this human interaction on phone, and people are losing that now, especially now IA is coming. All these the human factor is taken away from us, and like everything, IA has really good things, but that's the thing we have to watch out for. It takes away all the humanity out of the things we are doing. And that's what we need. That's what we need to grow. That's when we need to be happy. And the more that is taken away from us, there has to come something in the place from it. Um, and when I was young, we went to the pub and we had a few drinks, and we were laughing, we were scolding at everybody, and nothing was good, and the politics was bad, and then too much taxes, and we were shouting, and half drunk we went home, and tomorrow and the next day was another day, but we spit it out and we told it
Yeah.
to people. We got interaction, and the next day we were totally different people, was for real, right? But now we only absorb. Young people
Yeah.
now, they absorb. They only absorb, but nothing comes out, and that's a problem. Because we
Yeah.
need that, and COVID is the proof of that. We need human connection, and that was literally the proof that we need it. But people
Yeah.
forget so fast. Huh?
Oh, 100%. It's like, does everyone forget what happened? I mean, a lot of people forget what happened. You only have to look at the news to realize, like, headlines from a couple months ago, no one would remember, right? Like, we're quick to forget
Right?
things and move on to the next.
Of
I think
course.
that does a lot for humans in general, but
Yeah, of
yeah. So we could do a whole another episode on that. But
course.
I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your incredible story with us today. It's been such a pleasure to hear your expertise and for you to share your story with us. And I'd love to finish up by asking, what's a really actionable step someone can do in the next 24 to 48 hours to bring the playfulness of a clown to their day to day
Oh,
life?
playfulness. Go play. And if you don't know what, go figure something out within the first 10 minutes, right? And you call somebody, or you make an appointment, or you do that. Could be go play tennis, go play
Yeah.
snooker, go play
Yeah.
golf. I don't care what. Go play with your children, right? Would be a very important one. Go
Yeah.
play. I'd figure it out now, the next 10 minutes, and you
Yeah.
decide and you put it in your calendar, and
Yeah.
go play. Whatever it is,
Yeah.
go play.
And I love that so much. And I'd love for you to define, what does play mean? Because I know for me, I used to have a lot of trouble doing something that I'm like, well, that's pointless. And so sometimes I'd say something that
That's the
is play, and
point.
I'm doing like
That's the
air
point.
quotes, right? Yeah. Okay, cool.
That's
That's the point.
exactly the
Something that
point, and it's
doesn't have a
pointless.
criteria.
That's
Yeah, great.
exactly the point. You are having fun, and there's no point to it.
Love
So
it.
you are coming in a state of totally relaxing,
Yeah.
and don't compete. Huh? Then you're not playing anymore. Don't need to
Roger.
win. Yeah? There's no winning here. Huh? You play golf. When the other person wins, fine. Don't do bets. Don't do that. No competition, please. Playing is
Yeah.
no competition. Huh? It's the playing as a thing that's important.
Yeah.
And you don't need to win to play. When you play with your children, there's no winning, right?
Yeah.
It's just playing. You play hide and seek, or you
Yeah.
or you play where your daughter or your son is giving you tea, and you play like you are eating and drinking, and that kind of playing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It
You
sounds
can
like
have that
focus.
too. Yeah, but you can have that too when you play tennis or squash or whatever, or padel. What's the next thing? Uh, you can also have that then, just having fun with the other person you are playing with. That's the essence. That's the essence. And I know it's hard for, especially people who are in business and who are performing, right? It's hard for them to not want to win, but
Yes.
that's how you rewind. That's how you totally relax your body. It's that's how you do it. So you come from the playing, you come. It's another person you are when you're done playing.
Yeah. It's like focusing on the process, not the outcome. I love it.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Eddie. And for people who are keen to learn more about the work that you do and potentially grab a copy of your book, where can they find out more about you?
I just go to my website, eddysmits.com. You'll find everything there.
Yeah.
And for the rest, I always say I love to do podcasts, and I always say if there's only one person who gets a little bit inspired what I'm telling, I'm a happy person. Only one is okay. If there are more, better.
Well, you've already inspired me. So tick box,
Oh,
done.
thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Eddie. It's been a pleasure.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. I hope this was helpful. If you thought of someone while listening to this podcast, I would be so grateful if you could share this episode with them. While you're doing that, please also take a moment to leave a review on the podcast if you haven't yet already. It takes less than a minute, and it means so much to me and helps this podcast to reach more people just like you. Thank you so much for that, and I'll see you in the next episode. In the meantime, go out and achieve every dream you have, because actually, you can.